Coming up on Mountain News this morning, Governor Andy Beshear announces some good news involving the Commonwealth's unemployment rate. And we see a bit of an increase in COVID-19 cases here in Kentucky, causing some concern among health professionals.
Dedicated to Eastern and Southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News this morning.
It's Friday, May 20th. Let's say that again. Friday. We have finally landed. Jim Freeman is here, and you're here too. We're glad you're along. Cameron Aaron's talking fog and maybe some record-breaking temperatures today. Is that the case already, Brandon? Cameron?
It's one of us.
Close.
Yeah, it's going to be warm today. It's already a warm start. You know, we talked earlier in the break. We should be in the middle 70s for highs today, but many people are waking up to temperatures in the middle 70s this morning. Let's start out over at UVA-wise. Not as warm, current temperature in the upper 60s, watching out for a few of those clouds, but overall a nice start to our Friday. 72 for Pikeville and Hazard, 73 in Prestonsburg, 74 in London, and 75 as you wake up in Williamsburg and Monticello. Up on satellite and radar, tracking a few showers this morning. Nothing too heavy, but a few sprinkles from Powell County over towards Estill, Wolf, Magoffin, and Johnson counties as well. Again, these are nothing too heavy, but a few sprinkles are possible. High temperatures today, upper 80s, lower 90s, and check this out. The record high, 87, set back in 1996. A good chance we break that later on today. Jim?
All right, Cameron, thank you. The governor says it's an historic time for Kentucky's economy. Governor Andy Beshear says the state recorded its lowest unemployment rate ever in the month of April. But some say the state still has a lot of challenges to overcome. WYMT's Phil Pendleton has more on what the governor said, along with reaction from economic officials.
The U.S. Bureau of Labor and Statistics began keeping records in 1976. Kentucky's unemployment rate has never dipped below 4%. But Governor Andy Beshear says Kentucky now has a historic milestone.
Today we're reporting that the Commonwealth of Kentucky just posted the lowest unemployment rate in state history.
That's 3.9%. Economic officials say it's a preliminary number. It'll have to wait and see if it'll hold up.
But all things considered, I mean, I think we would expect that number to hold. And honestly, we could even potentially see unemployment drop even lower.
Body shall come back to order.
But some Republicans say the picture is not all perfect. GOP party spokesman says Kentucky made headlines for being a leader in people quitting their jobs. But Senator David Gibbons says Kentucky is competing based on General Assembly action.
When you take a look at what we did in right to work, prevailing wage, and the conservative policies that make this state competitive, that's what it's about.
Unemployment is low, but business leaders say the need for workers is still high.
Workforce participation in Kentucky is still a really serious problem. Based on the most recent data, we're at about 58% of our adult population participating in the workforce.
Hall says it's hard for employers to find enough workers to meet the demand of consumers. In Frankfort, Phil Pendleton, WYMT Mountain News.
Thanks, Phil. Governor Beshear says Kentucky has added 18,000 new jobs this year alone and more than 30,000 during the past 2.5 years. A new report challenges theories about unemployment in Kentucky. We have seen a lot of help wanted signs during the past year. Some lawmakers suggested that people would rather stay on unemployment than go find work. Earlier this year, they even passed a bill to tighten the rules on receiving benefits. But one state agency says employment is about the same as it was before the pandemic. The Kentucky Center for Statistics says about 1,975,000 people were employed in February of 2020. About 1,965,000 people had jobs in February of this year. This is a difference of about 10,000 people. The analysts say while there are a lot of job openings, that does not mean people are not working. It could mean people are just taking different kinds of jobs. The center plans to do more research on Kentucky's COVID recovery in the future. COVID cases are increasing once again in Kentucky. Governor Beshear also held his weekly Team Kentucky update yesterday. He announced that the COVID positivity rate is now a little more than 9%. Kentucky Commissioner for Public Health, Dr. Stephen Stack, says while the numbers are something to be aware of, they should not discourage us in our fight against COVID-19.
And again, I just want you to hear it. That's okay. We are at a stage where people need to use information and use tools to be responsible for themselves and for their communities, and to take steps to keep themselves and their loved ones safe.
Dr. Stack said he's hoping a vaccine will be available for children under 5 years old this summer. A critical infrastructure project for eastern Kentucky is advancing to construction 6 months ahead of schedule. WYMT's Jade Saylor talked with the Kentucky Transportation Secretary about the progress of the Mountain Parkway expansion.
The Mountain Parkway expansion completion is at the top of the to-do list for Governor Andy Beshear.
For Governor Beshear, when he asked me to take this job right after he was elected, he said to me, "Now, Jim, I've got a big priority in eastern Kentucky, and that is completing the Mountain Parkway."
The project to widen the parkway in Wolfe County is awarded to construction 6 months ahead of schedule.
The good news about it is it came in under the state's budget. Under the state's budget at just over $97 million.
The original completion plan stood at about 5 years.
The governor has said he wants this project completed, and he wants it completed soon, of course, with quality and safely.
Secretary Gray says the way things are moving, that goal can be passed.
I'm optimistic that the project can get completed even earlier than that.
Noting that the Mountain Parkway expansion is more than just a road.
It's so important to the people of eastern Kentucky. It's so important to the economy of eastern Kentucky. It really does open up in a very meaningful way. It removes geographic barriers.
The Wolfe County segment is the final piece to making the current parkway 4 lanes for 78 continuous miles. Jade Saylor, WYMT, Mountain News.
Now, Gray says Wolfe County secured a $55 million infrastructure grant in 2020. Beginning today, an asphalt resurfacing and milling project is expected to slow traffic starting at Manning Drive and along US 119 in Letcher County. The work will extend to US 23 and include all ramps onto US 23 to and from Virginia and Kentucky. The ramps are 1 lane, so long delays are expected. Construction is scheduled from 7 a.m. until 6 p.m. and will take about 2 weeks to complete. Several leaders in rural journalism met to discuss issues in areas like Appalachia at Hazard Community and Technical College Thursday evening. Al Cross, director of the University of Kentucky Institute for Rural Journalism and Community Issues, moderated the panel. The discussion centered on how to continually serve rural communities and challenges local newspapers and TV stations are dealing with.
Every locality, every place that elects local officials, as Kentuckians did this week, needs a reliable local news outlet to report on those officials, to hold them accountable, and to inform citizens about the candidates in the next election.
Thursday's panel was the final in the Kentucky Humanities Council's Democracy and the Informed Citizen series. WYMT's general manager Neil Middleton joined regional editor for Appalachian newspaper Russ Cassidy and Jay Nolan, CEO of the Nolan Group, which publishes newspapers in several smaller communities. Addiction Recovery Care, commonly called ARC, is a 36 treatment center network of recovery facilities across Kentucky, but mainly in the mountains. For an upcoming Issues and Answers, WYMT anchor Steve Hensley talked with ARC founder and CEO Tim Robinson. WYMT's Zach Hawk highlights a few of the major points from that conversation.
Tim Robinson says he was guided by faith and personal experience following the death of his mother when he founded ARC.
I was using alcohol to cope with the trauma of her loss. It had a hold on me, and the whole idea that we can quit on our own just isn't the reality with a disease like addiction.
Today, ARC employs about 1,100 people, but the organization began small.
There was no plan in the beginning. We were just trying to get a 16-bed grassroots ministry open back in 2008 when we started. We opened the first facility, Karen's Place, in 2010.
In April, Robinson attended Operation Unite's Prescription Drug Abuse and Heroin Summit, speaking with the nation's Director of Drug Control Policy, Rahul Gupta.
He realizes that this is going to take a comprehensive approach.
An approach, Robinson says, includes finding employment for people in active recovery, supporting law enforcement, and advocating treatment, recovery, and prevention at an early age.
Many people are people with a brain disease that have fallen into addiction, that need help and need a way out, and I've never seen anybody too far gone to recover.
Before the pandemic, yearly overdose rates were on the decline. The pandemic reversed that trend, and Robinson hopes ARC will help bring the numbers back down. In Hazard, Zach Hawk, WYMT Mountain News.
You can hear more from Robinson Monday evening at 7 here on WYMT. For people battling addiction, ARC manages an addiction help hotline at 888-8154-300.
It is a warm and muggy morning across the mountains for your Friday. Let's start out at the camera over at Buffalo Mountain. We are looking at a little bit of cloud cover back in the distance. Current temperature sitting at 72 degrees as you walk out the door. 72 also in Pikeville, 60 in Clintwood, 68 in Wise, 73 for Somerset and Prestonsburg. Up on satellite and radar, most of us are dry as you start your Friday. However, we are watching out for a few of those sprinkles near Lee County over towards Wolf, Magoffin, Johnson, Martin counties this morning. Nothing too heavy, but maybe a few sprinkles as you head out the door. The big story today will be the record heat possible as we get towards this afternoon. High temperatures, upper 80s, lower 90s. A really good day to try and beat the heat and maybe get some ice cream as well. Jim?
Oh my, ice cream. Thanks for joining us on Mountain News this morning. More news is on the way. Coming up, the leaders of Sweden and Finland make a visit to the U.S. Capitol to celebrate their attempt to join the most powerful alliance in the world.